to have the privilege of having the job of making the roads safe. That's rewarding for me. Getting through a storm and seeing the final product of what you've done. It's something I take pride in, and because of it being a challenge, it's something I enjoy doing.
First off, I'm Sheriff Scott Hildenbrand from Geauga County. I want to thank you all for coming out here. I think this was a big event for us, and a lot of cooperation, as you can see here. All these law enforcement agencies working together for a great ending and taking a bad guy off the street. So I'll let them introduce themselves.
Scott Meyer, Chief of Police of the Euclid Police Department.
Jim Schultz, Detective Lieutenant with Willoughby Police. Frank Leon-Bruno, the Sheriff in Lake County.
Okay, why we're here is on January 18th, this whole thing started for our county. We had a armed robbery at the BP gas station in Parkman Township. That happened at 3:56 in the morning. It was reported that the suspect had a gun, held the people that worked there at gunpoint. He was wearing gray, a gray jumpsuit and wearing a ski mask. He forced two individuals into the back of the store and held them at the sales counter and demanded the money. He left in a SUV that was located outside the building. The cameras were not that good at the BP, so we didn't have a good description of the vehicle, but we had a description of him, but he was totally covered. There was no skin exposed. He had a ski mask on, gloves, a pair of work boots. Later that same day, on January 18th at 7:15 in the evening, we had another call for another armed robbery at the Dollar General on Chardon Road in Chardon Township. The description was the same as the previous robbery. Gray style tracksuit, tan work boots, and the description of the handgun was about the same. During the course of that investigation, we learned that 2 days prior to that, Lake County Sheriff's Office was investigating an armed robbery, that the description was very much the same, with the ski mask, the outfit that he was wearing. That was the Marathon gas station in Painesville Township. So we started immediately working with the Lake County Sheriff's Office to solve this crime. During on January 21st, the Willoughby Police Department had their own armed robbery at another Dollar General, and I'll allow the lieutenant to talk about that. So now we're getting all these together. The information sharing in this case was phenomenal. Same description in the Willoughby case. And then again on January 25th, the Euclid Police Department had a armed robbery at a gas station. Again, same description, same clothing. We started to get some better images of the vehicle, and we found out that it was an orange Kia Sportage. Our detectives and all these other agencies worked together and learned that it was a 2020 Kia Sportage SUV, copper in color. And we also learned that a similar vehicle was stolen from Willoughby Hills in November. Same description. Detectives working with the conjunction with the Cleveland Police Department learned that they were also investigating another armed robbery with a similar description, and specifically with the face mask and the burnt orange colored Kia Sportage. And we have pictures of the mask and the gloves and the stuff that was recovered that we'll lay it out here after we're done. You can take a picture of it. Through that coordinated effort on January 29th, detectives were able to identify the driver of the stolen vehicle as David Johnson. Detectives from the Geauga County Sheriff's Office, Lake County Sheriff's Office, Willoughby Police Department, Euclid Police Department, and the FBI arrested David Johnson for receiving stolen property in Euclid, in the city of Euclid. During the search of the vehicle, the detectives located the skeleton mask along with a pair of work gloves that matched the specific description from the numerous robberies. a Taurus .40 caliber handgun, along with numerous other outfits that matched previous robberies in Lake Jog and Cuyahoga County were located in the house. According to the Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, David Johnson is currently on adult parole in Cuyahoga County for involuntary manslaughter, aggravated robbery, illegal conveyance to a detention facility, and drug trafficking. He also is on federal probation for a gun charge that he previously had. We've issued warrants and charged him with 2 counts of aggravated robbery, a felony in the first degree, and as this investigation progresses, then we will have additional charges. David Johnson's date of birth is March 8th, 1987, and we've got some pictures for you. I just want to stress the fact that this is how we get these bad guys off the street, is a cooperation and a spirit of cooperation that we can have with these agencies that are all around us. We're all here to do a good job, and we're here to make the public safe and make this a good community to live in and not have to fear this kind of activity. So I'll pass it on to the chief. He can talk about the Euclid incidents.
How you doing? I just want to again reiterate the shared cooperation. It was instrumental in leading to this arrest. Our detectives did a phenomenal job, as they usually do. Unfortunately, yesterday too was the second aggravated robbery arrest that our detectives were able to make that same day, unrelated to this series of robberies. So that phenomenal work, along with these partnerships, make this possible. I need these perpetrators to understand that if you're going to go to jurisdiction to jurisdiction, we're going to work together and we're going to find you. I know that the residents of Euclid are fed up with the gun violence, with the violence that they have to unfortunately put up with. So I just want to say again, I appreciate the cooperation, and these types of arrests are very impactful. They send a message, and they get bad guys off the street. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. So on Wednesday, January 22nd at 8:40 p.m., Willoughby officers responded to the Dollar General on Euclid Avenue for a report of an active robbery going on. What we learned when we arrived on scene, a male suspect had entered the store. He was wearing a mask and a hooded sweatshirt to conceal his identity. He was armed with a silver and black semi-automatic handgun. He went right behind the counter, confronted the clerk, pointed the gun at her head, and told her to give him all the cash that she had. He then forced her onto the ground, and he fled from the scene. Our officers arrived on scene. They checked the area for the suspect, for the vehicle involved, and then processed the scene for evidence. Through our first responders' tremendous efforts, they were able to determine that it was a copper-colored vehicle that had left the scene. This was very important as it led to, ultimately, Mr. Johnson's apprehension yesterday. So yesterday, 33-year-old David Johnson was arrested outside of his home in Euclid. This was, as talked about by the sheriff and the chief, this was a collaborative effort between the Willoughby Police Department, Lake County Sheriffs, Jog County Sheriffs, Euclid Police Department, Cleveland FBI, and other federal offices inside Cuyahoga County. All of the detectives and officers working on these cases together, they knew how quickly that we needed to apprehend Mr. Johnson, as each of these cases became more violent after each one. They knew that we needed to get this dangerous suspect off the streets and to keep our community safe. Without everybody's hard work and dedication to this set of cases, we would not have been successful in apprehending this suspect and ending the string of these robberies. And we look forward to working with these agencies in the future and the prosecutors involved to make sure that Mr. Johnson is held responsible for all of these crimes and that he gets the maximum amount of time in prison. Thank you.
All of us at the Lake County Sheriff's Office echo our appreciation for the cooperation from our fellow agencies here. everyone up here believes in the importance of cooperation and getting these offenders off the street. In this particular incident, when he robbed the Science Marathon in Perry Township and began this spree with us, he was grabbing individuals, taking them, kidnapping them, throwing them around in the store against counters, out to vehicles, and you saw in subsequent footage that he was doing the same thing in other aggravated robberies that he was doing. That's why our great concern was for the citizens and for the safety of businesses and those individuals. So we all used Facebook quite actively, and we appreciate everybody who takes an interest when we do a posting on Facebook to get that information out to the community. Your tips, your ideas really help us in moving the cases forward. It can be frustrating a little bit because sometimes we don't give all the information we can't out on Facebook. We try to get what we can out initially to give enough information to see where we can pull from people. A lot of people get frustrated by videos. We're frustrated by videos because not every business has a good camera. So people will tell us, you should have a better camera. Well, it's not our choice what cameras are in businesses. We try to use the footage that's out there to get that information out to people. And people get frustrated that we don't give additional information. Well, what you have to understand is additional information could affect the investigation, could give leads out that we don't want to release at that time, or could ultimately affect the case at hand in its trial in court, leading to conviction. So we do appreciate, and we want to encourage you to all to continue. When we put something out, send us your leads, send us your information. No tip is inconsequential. We appreciate it. And again, I echo, thankfulness for the cooperation from all the departments that led in this arrest. Thank you.
I think sometimes law enforcement gets a bad rap, and this is a perfect example of the groups of dedicated detectives and patrol officers and deputies that we all employ. And I, for one, am very proud of the job that they did, and as quickly as they did it, and we got this guy off the street so people don't have to worry about him. So I'll lay these pictures out up here if you guys want to take a look at them, or do you have any questions?
So how many armed robberies in all? What's the total number?
Well, the total that we know about at this point is 7. But this will be an ongoing investigation. There are some that he is a suspect in other cities that they're doing some more investigation in, but right now we're looking at 7.
How long had he been out on probation?
1 year,
And how many years did he spend in jail?
10 years.
Do you have any details of that manslaughter charge?
It was as a result of a robbery, correct? Yeah, it was a result of a robbery that he had actually had shot somebody. And as has been said up here, as we watch these videos, he started to get more and more aggressive, and that's what we were afraid of.
Is he working with anybody else? Is there an accomplice maybe in this whole thing?
We don't believe so at this point, but it's still under investigation.
So what was he stealing, just cash?
Yes,
And you recovered that from his house or car?
very little of it.
Do you know how much money was stolen altogether for these 7?
I don't think we have a total, no.
Yeah, there were calls in the weeks following from similar establishments and ones that weren't actually involved, but people seemed to be on edge calling for police when they were closing up or seeing a suspicious car. I was wondering if they saw that in the other communities as well, were other Dollar General stores calling. And
We do have concerns from citizens because they know someone's lurking around the area that's performing that it's haphazard, so no one's sure, and it sends a fear into the community. So last night, we tried to get that information out to people in our communities, not with a lot of information as to who it was, but that we had apprehended somebody to alleviate some of that fear in the community, and that's very important, and we have to be cognizant of that.
And I think after the Willoughby Dollar General, if I'm not wrong, the district director closed all the other Dollar Generals in the district. Is that right?
I'm not sure.
That was the information I got, that they, after that the Dollar General people were even getting, because he was hitting all these Dollar Generals. So they wanted to make sure they had all their ducks in a row. All right, well, thank you for coming, and I'll lay this out, and it's gonna show, they're pretty self-explanatory, but that's the mask he was wearing with the gun and the gloves, and he wore the same mask at several of the incidents. And then in the house, we were able to put together the other outfits that he had been wearing and matching it up with the videos. You know, he always had a hoodie on to cover his face, and then that mask. Picture of the vehicle.
Will they lean up against on a?
Yeah, we can put them up there.
Thank you.
Do you have a current place of residence? Was it in Euclid?
He lives in Euclid now.
I believe that's the case, yes.
We'll stand up there.
Can you grab some tape or something?
There's some little magnets.
Get out of your way, too.
Do they know if he was casing these, giving time to look and then picking the appropriate time, or whether it was a spur of the moment?
When they arrested him, he really didn't talk. So, and we didn't have any reports of suspicious activity prior to that, so I don't know.
Did he resist during the arrest?
I don't think so.
He just gave up?
I don't believe that he did. It occurred in Euclid, and all of the arresting officers took the appropriate tactical steps so that there was a safe arrest without any injury to anybody, or I don't believe there was any resistance.
What time did that arrest happen?
It was middle of the afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon.
Around 3-ish.
Yeah.
Yesterday?
Yesterday, yes.
And you say that car was stolen for how long? Since November?
It's November from Willoughby Hills.
And there was a report that it was a white vehicle. Was that inaccurate?
Well, some of the photos, and you can see the ones from RBP, are so poor that you really couldn't tell the color.
But it is that car.
But that's the car. Same car used in all of them. Okay, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.